I'm Heike, and this is my story. 5 years ago, in 2011, I ended up in hospital with a terrible pain in my stomach. Before that, I had a fantastic time overseas, and I wasn't feeling so great, but then I thought, no, I have to get this overseas trip done first before I go anywhere close to a hospital. And thank goodness I did, because since then, I've been in and out of hospitals with different things. I must say, they found the cancer, and okay, it was a bit crap at the beginning because you don't really know what to do with that information. And then I also had huge operations. My wounds got septic. I was quite long in ICU. I spent a month in ICU, and that already caused a huge change in me, because although the pain was bad and the idea was bad, what I suddenly realized was that although I always had the feeling I was not always worth it or something, there were people there who did things for me that I never expected to even know me really, or that I've never really been close. So I must say, suddenly having the friends that looked after me, and I can call them friends, although some of them have also disappeared after I got better. They looked after me, and it was an amazing realization. And that there are some angels walking on this earth before you actually get to heaven. Also, what the first cancer did is that it made me think more spiritually, and I became I gave it a lot of thought, and I started reading, which I didn't do before. I did do it before, and I was always searching, but now I knew what to, or more in the direction of what to search for. And that for me was also quite an realization or acknowledgement, and I wasn't afraid to talk about it. So that was the first month. Coming home after that month in ICU was quite a shock, because suddenly in ICU I felt amazing. I felt like a queen, because everybody worried about me and they looked after me. I had the most amazing doctor. The nurses were fantastic. The night staff was amazing. My friends were there. They came and visited. They came with stories. Most of the time I perhaps was sleeping. They held my hand. They made me laugh. And yeah, and then I had to go home. And that was quite something, because suddenly, yeah, okay, there the dishes were and the washing was, and the child needed to go to school and had to be fed and clothed, and homework and lifts and everything. And the friends were there. They did what they could. They brought me meals. They brought the whole family meals, which wasn't always that easy because my husband is allergic to dairy. They took Tian to school and back and carted him wherever he had to be. He was a matric, poor boy. It was really quite amazing. And then the journey continued, and then real life took over. Jean, I felt a bit for, because he was in Stellenbosch and he would come up to Johannesburg to see me, but he somehow, I think he felt a bit left out, and he was a bit left out because he didn't really see the serious part of it, because he wasn't there. So one day when we had a conversation about it, it was quite profound, because until then I hadn't realized that he wasn't part of it. And I think it is very important that everybody in the family is part of your travels and of your journey. But even today, I must say, I'm not really good at sharing the journey because the miserable parts I really prefer to keep to myself. Anyway, so that was then the matric year. And the next year I moved to Cape Town and everything went honky-dory. And I loved Cape Town, found work, found a place to stay, ended up staying later on in a plot on a wine farm, which was always my dream, and that was fantastic. And then I went to gym every day before work with my friends, and I suddenly picked up weight, the tummy grew, and I couldn't understand. But I did have a healthy appetite, so it wasn't that surprising. But anyway, so I decided to go for one of these tests where they test your fat content in your body. And lo and behold, it came back lean. That was such a joke because I've never been that heavy in my life before. So I thought, oh no, man, they don't know what they're doing. So I went to a professional and had the same test done. And it came back lean. I thought, well, then something is really wrong. So I had to look for, unfortunately, the Gauteng doctors or the doctors in the north don't speak to the doctors in the south. So you can't get a referral. You have to start looking for people yourself. And it's really, really hard to find somebody who knows where to put you or what to do. So thank goodness, you see, all these illnesses I had are really a blessing. I had a bladder infection, and that doctor referred me to a specialist physician. He found a fist-sized tumor on my liver. I was a letting agent in Stellenbosch. That was hectic time because that's our most hectic time. Now, also I had no leave left, and now to get to the doctors and to do all the appointments, and I don't know, lunch times became very hectic and very busy, and I had to see did all sorts of blood tests and everything, and that was all done. But I didn't tell the work because it's no good scaring anybody before you actually know what's going on. And also I don't like answering all these questions and you've got no answer to them. So in the end, at the end of November 2014, they did a liver biopsy, and it's turned out that it was a tumor. I had a scan. The scan showed a big tumor on the liver. It showed little tumors in the lungs, and it was all a bit daunting. But anyway, so the end of the year came. The thing is, what they said is I should have chemo. And I promised myself that I wouldn't have chemo after my first chemo in 2011 because, and obviously it didn't help, so I really didn't want chemo. So I hadn't told my family yet, who was still in Joburg. And when I went on holiday, I told them that I have cancer and that I didn't want chemo. So they called a family meeting, and in the family meeting, the kids turned everything I taught them against me. You have to try your best. You can't give up. You haven't tried the second chemo. You must do it again. And we still need you. And everything you want to hear, you've heard, but you also heard that you have to do dreaded chemo again. So I thought, you know what, I can't not do chemo because then they think I gave up, and I'm not giving up. I just didn't want chemo. But anyway, so I did 3 months of chemo because what they couldn't do, they couldn't operate the tumor from the liver because it was too big. They had to shrink it so that it could either be radiated or cut out. And because chemo was the only thing that would help to shrink it. So there was hope. So we did 3 months of chemotherapy. Oh yeah, another good thing that happened. First of all, work was amazing. They understood. They looked after me. the guy who handled our retirement, he did everything that he could to get me I got a disability benefit, although I was only there for 2 years, and I don't know how much had to be there, but they were all extremely kind, extremely generous, and extremely understanding, and I really appreciated that. Anyway, so now is the holiday, and I decide now on the chemo, and I come back, and the first month coming back after holidays, also very hectic at work. And a week later, they say I have to come for chemo. Anyway, so for 3 months chemo, and that was also amazing. I had Melanie took me to chemo the first time. It was fantastic. And then Liesel decided she's going to be my guardian angel every time I go to chemo, which was every second week. And she came with me. It was fantastic. And we spoke about all sorts of things. But what was the best? She focused me on, with the prayer, she focused me on believing in the healing while I was sitting there in the chemo room. And afterwards, we talked about how the experience was, and she was just there. It was fantastic. Another good thing also, you see, there are so many good things that happen. I forget all of these, and they come back. I lived on this plot on the wine farm. Now, obviously, when you have chemo, how are you going to look after? I mean, you can look after yourself, but it will be really painful. Also, they said they need to move because they wanted to renovate the cottage. Yeah, where do I go? I don't earn any money now. We were not that flush to begin with. Our family always had financial problems. So my brother and sister-in-law, they just said, you know what, pack up, put it in storage and come and live with us. And live with us for at least a year and let's see where it goes. And that's what we did. Packed up and I came to live here in this room where we make this video. And I'm really, really happy here. And it was just also so amazing. And anyway, so I stopped work, live in this room and go to chemo. And the 1 week that I had chemo was really awful. And then I had a really good week and I really did what I could. Friends came to visit, we went places, we did things that I've never done before. So it was really awesome. And then I went to chemo again. And that was for 3 months. And then after the scan, it showed that the tumor had actually shrunk by a third, which was a good thing. So we thought, okay, now we go and we do another bout of chemo. Perhaps it will shrink 2/3. Now the thing is also, we didn't have that much money. You can go the natural route, but the natural route is really, really, really expensive and medical aid doesn't pay for it. And if you don't have the money, it's really, really hard to do it all. So going the chemo route was, in that instance, then the option I took. And then after after 6 months of chemo, I had another scan and the scan didn't work. The scan worked, but the chemo hadn't worked. Now, after the 6 months of chemo, and I had to wait a month before they wanted to take the scan. So we went on holiday and we went to the Kruger Park, and lo and behold, I end up in Nelspruit with a bowel twist or something, and they had to operate me there. And I spent 12 or 10 days in Nelspruit Hospital with Tian, my youngest son, being just amazing. Being there, they left. He was on holiday, my older son, and my husband had to work, so he decided to spend the whole week at my bedside in Nelspruit, staying with friends of friends, and it was just amazing having them there 8 hours a day. That was a bonding exercise of, you can't put anything on it. It's fantastic. Okay, and then I come back and the scan showed that the tumor had exploded and everything was big and horrible. Okay, so now we had 3 bouts of chemo. they offered me another chemo where apparently it's a very hectic chemo and you get terrible acne all over your body. You look like a leper. You shouldn't even be outside because of the infection, chance of infection. And I thought, no, I've had enough chemo, 3 bouts, and they didn't help. That's enough. And also, then I heard of 2 people who had that, and they had a heart attack. So what's the point? So I decided to go the natural route. And for 3 months, wow, it was fantastic. I never felt so good. I went off all sugars, tried to eat as little wheat as possible, and ate healthy, and looked fantastic, felt fantastic, lost 20 kilos, which I should have done years ago. And it was amazing. And then I went for a scan, and the cancer had exploded even more. So that was a bit of a phew. And then that was really bad news. And then a friend of me said, you know, Melanie, thank you for saying this. She said, you know, you spend all your money on all sorts of things. Go make memories with your kids. Yo, what a good idea. I'm German and my husband is Afrikaans, so my kids are half German. So I decided to take them to Germany and show them actually where I come from, because I'm sure a lot of the stuff I do or said or did not always make sense to them. And I took them to Germany. What a worthwhile trip that was. Because I think a lot of the puzzle pieces fell into place for them. They recognized a lot that was in my house. They recognized as, oh, look, this is where this comes from, or this is how it is, or this is how the Germans do it. It was really amazing. And there also, I had saved some money, and I decided to take that money and go overseas with it. Half of it was gone paying for 3 tickets. Nearly died. Okay, and then of course we could have managed on the others, but it would have been on a shoestring, and I don't know how much we would have been able to eat or drink or whatever. And again, people are amazing. My mother has still contacts in Germany, but she just mentioned to 1 or 2 of them that I'm coming, and they contacted others, and I suddenly had 6 options where I could stay. So we stayed at 6 different people, family, and in different places, and it was fantastic. And I could show them where my mother comes from, where my dad comes from, and some other parts of Germany, which were new to me too. So that was absolutely amazing. And another thing, my oldest son, who thinks of something like this, he thought, we always appreciate people when they're dead, and we have all sorts of good things to say about them. Why not do it while the person is still alive? So when he asked me for a list of my best friends, of the emails, and I gave it to him thinking, it's just, when it's worse, he can contact them and he can let them know, which I was very grateful about. And then to them he wrote an email saying, why not appreciate Heike and let her feel how loved she is and what she meant to each one of you. And sure, I get all teary. And then he asked those that they can see who's on the email list. If there's somebody they think should be on the list that isn't, perhaps they can give them the email as well. And he sent it to everybody. And it was amazing. Because then I get to the airport and suddenly there are all these envelopes on the table. And I said, what is this? And he has called it he has called him and Tian actually. For Tian, I'm sorry Tian, didn't want to leave you out. I know, but you didn't do the admin work. Okay, I know that. So I love you lots, my boy. Him and Tian had collected all these emails, printed them out, put them in an envelope, and then now I had about 40. We were gone for about 16 days, so I knew exactly how many to read. And he explained the whole gift of appreciation to me. But on top of everything, people had volunteered to actually perhaps pay for coffee or a meal or something. So he gave his bank account, and you know, I got 30,000 rand. Now that paid for the trips and the meals. And I mean, it made just this whole trip so much more fun and so much more affordable and so much less stressful. It was fantastic. And I mean, and it was also what was so fantastic. So obviously, I love sharing stuff. So this was great because now everybody always tells me too much information, too much information. I said, no, you must know it all. And this was now fantastic because now I had a reason why I could WhatsApp them all, my pictures and what we experienced and where we were. And it was amazing because I could do that every day. I could, or every second day, or every day, whatever, we put it on. And whoever wasn't on WhatsApp got it on Facebook from your region. So it was fantastic. So everybody shared on my trip, and it was such an amazing experience. It was fantastic. And then we came back, and I had the most amazing December holiday. And what I felt is just with this whole experience, what I felt is because I was now in the midst, reminding people of how short life is and how volatile everybody is, how much nicer everybody can be to each other. And I just felt that this December was especially nice. Everybody just, and it wasn't that hard. I didn't really feel it was that hard for everybody having to try to be nice. It just happened that everybody was just nice. And things just happened. And the kids got on and the grown-ups got on, and it was just amazing. And the weather was fantastic. And I mean, and I looked gorgeous because I'd lost the 20 kilos. So it was, I mean, an amazing December. Yeah, and then I came back and had another scan, and the cancer is just not budging. It's just growing and growing and growing. So I believe that there's more I have to learn, and there's more I have to deal with. And the huge thing for me is that there's a miracle. Until the box is closed, a miracle can still happen. But for me also, the miracle is not just physical, that you can heal, but it's especially spiritual. And I think spiritually the miracle has definitely happened with me. And if I needed this cancer to get that right, success. Tick, 100%. So glad. You know, but then today I had another experience, and I realized that there's this little girl in me that has had it really hard, and I have not made peace with all of it, and I have not looked after that little girl, and she can't trust me yet. So I reckon that until I get that right, there's a little bit of a journey ahead of me. And I just hope I get it right very quickly, because the pain is not funny. But otherwise, life is great.